conducted remotely for anybody who can't tell. And if you would like to participate in the meeting, the Zoom information is available on the agenda posted on the town calendar on the town website. And this is being broadcast and recorded for play on either Facebook or YouTube. And any votes that we take this evening will be taken by roll. And with that, I'll ask if there's any public comment from anybody on the committee. I will say that the only member of the public that I see, unless Karen is feeling like a member of the public instead of, like the finance director, is Carol Archambault. So I should ask her if she has any comments that she wants to make publicly.
No comments tonight.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Then I'll go ahead and go to, we'll come back to the minutes and when we get to it in the
okay. Yep.
But I will be asking people to be prepared to volunteer to pick up a night's minutes from the last several meetings so that we can get caught up. I already twisted Evan's arm, so we're good there.
Oh, okay. Good. You mean Ethan, right?
Ethan,
No, I
yeah.
mean,
Somebody, I don't
It's Ethan. It must be right. It's in the camp as Ethan. He has a new name.
Oh, and Chris, I don't know how we could miss you as a member of the finance committee.
I know, seriously.
You're the one that's sitting on the town meeting thumbnail.
Getting scolded.
Right. Then the first agenda item was just to talk about the procedures that you folks talked about at the last meeting when I wasn't here. And I know that there was some stuff that as you were talking, I did want to weigh in on a few things that you folks brought up. And I wanted to say that the whole discussion around the salary schedules I found very interesting, the school committee discussion. And one of the other things that I really just wanted to get in as my feelings on the whole thing is I don't think it would be inappropriate for the finance committee to request of the Karen Brochu can jump in and say, yeah, you're out of your mind if you want that. Heather Lemieux is also out of the office all week, so she won't be joining us tonight. But I don't think it would be off limits to request from any group looking to talk about a contract that is increasing salary schedules by 2.5, whatever percentage they're hoping to do so, since a lot of it is based on what's going on in the market. What I used to have to do is present some data around, say, 5 comparable districts, just comparing as much as we could, apples to apples, in terms of what a pay schedule might be for someone from the next town over, or a town who might be a couple towns over but the same size, or something like that. But basically just a comparison of us with 5 other districts that we could then say, okay, this is where we fall, and this is why we're having a hard time keeping people, or this is not why we're having a hard time keeping people. It's basically, I think it just gives another layer of data. And I think the whole thing for us is around transparency. I think the other thing that the school committee has hopefully come to learn is that regardless of what they do with the salary schedules, and Heather, to your point, I think the fact that they don't going forward take into account the increases down the road, although I would hope that they wrote it into their salary line every year going out. If they didn't, I do remember one of the things that always came up between the finance committee and the school committee was almost as if the finance committee was saying no just for the heck of it, without understanding that, you know, when you make a decision to increase the largest part of your budget and you don't know what else is going on in town, it's very easy to get caught in a trap of, okay, so now we have no wiggle room, we have nowhere to go, and we may be in a situation where layoffs may have to happen, or something else will have to be done. And I think that the school committee is much better about that now in terms of understanding that, you know, you can do the 2%, you can do the 2.5%, you can do whatever the school committee is going to do. Your job as the school committee is to advocate for what the needs of the town are in terms of the schools. And that makes perfect sense. But basically, if the money's not there, it's not there. And so, and that's just the reality of the situation. So, but I do remember that there used to be a lot of animosity between the two committees. And it wasn't even that, I don't think that well, I don't know if the finance committee had any animosity against the school committee, but the school committee used to say bad things about us. And I used to have to be the liaison and watch. Be like, and I have to say, that's where I learned how to not say there's nothing to report from another committee, because basically that's what the liaison for us was always saying, was that there's nothing to report. And it's like, well, you've never been. So there's probably something to report at a committee that maybe I missed the meeting for, but I don't have a report is what I'm going to say, because they probably did something. I don't know what. So, but it used to be that there was not the understanding that we're trying to look at everything across the board. The town manager is looking at everything across the board. There are plenty of holes that have to be filled in the town. I think we're in a better financial position now than we have been for a long time. But that's my feelings on that. But I do think that the whole looking at the payroll piece is a very important piece. And I think that in terms of the discussion around procedures, I think there should be one. I think that there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, if we're going to make a recommendation around whether or not a contract increase should be voted on, and you guys can disagree with me, and I'm happy to discuss it, that there be some comparison, and I mean, we have a personnel person now, and I don't think that it would be unreasonable to expect that information could be presented as a justification for what they're presenting. And that's my thoughts on those things. In terms of the other procedure list, I think it would be very important to have one. And I also think that the discussion around that we kind of dropped just because we got busy, but I think that whole matrix or list of questions or expectations about what would be expected for us to vote on a budget for Passios that Chris put together, I think that should be something that would be part of a procedure as well, whether they actually have to do it or that a committee just be made aware that if you're going to be making a recommendation, these are the types of questions you're going to have to come in with answers for. So those were my feelings on, and I'm sorry I missed your last meeting. It was lovely. And if I'd known that we were going to be, like doing minutes for all the different meetings, I would have picked that one, because it was like, and I may still, because it was fresh on my mind. But anyway, did anybody want to say anything further about anything that you guys had discussed about that in particular last meeting?
No, I guess Terry, well, I guess, yes, Terry. What's your view on the review by the boards and commissions that oversee departments, and the directors kind of going to them prior to coming to us, or even earlier in the process, getting communication going on priorities and that sort of thing. So certainly, like, schools does that, but I don't see it happening with parks or with,
Or
conservation
cemetery,
or with cemetery.
I think that I think that was a good point. I think that and again, if putting together like a procedure thing for especially somebody new coming in, since you're going to have new people coming in, would be that the budget recommendation made by the department head should be and this would be true of the Council on Aging as well, that there, and maybe the Library Board of Trustees, that we ask for their vote to recommend the budget as it's represented. That they support, whether it's a vote of support, that there's something on the record in terms of the, you know, like the committee having heard or having discussed the budget related to their responsible area, that's been discussed with them and they approve it. So, or they would recommend it to the Finance Committee to recommend to town meeting. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. And then, you know, the other one that kind of is going to hit us this year is I really do not like getting a number on town meeting floor. And it sounds like that's the way it's going to go with the TC Passios for the article on recommending additional budget to study tearing down TC Passios and building a new municipal building on only that piece of land. They still don't have a budget number for that. I watched the TC Passios Building Reuse Committee last night. So, you know, to some extent, I don't even think that should be allowed to come to the town meeting floor as a walk-in budget number. And whereas we're charged with presenting the budget, I think we should go in and say, nope, this article needs to get pulled.
Well, the article itself is not part of the budget, so I don't feel badly about that.
It has a budget. It has
It'll
a
have a
budget
budget
number
impact,
associated
yes.
with it.
It has a budget impact, but it does not have a recommendation from the Finance Committee going in. The other thing is that that I should have mentioned at the top was in discussing with Heather, as she was reminding me that she wasn't going to be here tonight, she did ask whether or not we would be available to meet next week. She does hope to have numbers to come in on the, or she hopes to have information on the agreements and the TCP. I don't know if she expects to have a number on the TCP, but she says it's possible. Actually,
So that would be the week. Yeah. Okay.
That would be, yeah, it would be the Thursday before.
The 29th. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be a public hearing. Anything with a budget is supposed to have a public hearing. We did not have a public hearing with a budget amount on it. This is the same thing that happened with the TIF agreement. I think we're in violation of our own charter.
Around the budget as a whole or
Mhm.
around the,
Around any article with a budget impact is supposed to have a public hearing through the Finance Committee. And to have it as a shell discussion without a budget number is not a public hearing.
well, I mean, it's fine. And we can just make a vote that we're not going to vote to make any recommendation, or we don't have to vote to recommend approval. And then basically everybody will ignore us anyway.
I guess I'm saying a little bit more, like, I don't think that it was properly vetted to make its way onto the town meeting vote.
Oh, for the TCP?
It bypassed the procedure in my mind. You can't have a public hearing with a XXX number of dollars. And the charter says that anything, I believe, because I looked at this for the TIF agreement, anything with a budget impact needs to have a public hearing associated with it.
I don't disagree. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy to say that we're not prepared to make any motion on it at this time.
Are they doing a vote at town meeting? I thought they were just presenting a.
I don't even know.
Proposal.
Yeah.
There's two articles related to TC Passios. One is a vote to hear a report. So we're going to hear a report.
Yeah,
And it's a good report. I listened to it yesterday. They did a good job on what they were charged with doing. And then the second one is to modify their charge to allow and increase the budget associated with it, to allow them to continue their study on a tear down and build over at that location and only that location. And that's the one that has a budget impact. They're asking for additional money to send to the contractor on it. And they don't have a quote yet. So I went to the meeting last night,
Yeah,
looking to see what the number was so that maybe we could vote on it tonight and have a discussion on it tonight at a minimum. But, you know, we're 9 days from town meeting and we don't even have a number on that.
Well, if they didn't, all right, and did they schedule another meeting for next week?
I don't think so.
All right, so then they wouldn't be able to recommend a number.
Well, unless it came in and they were able to schedule something, I guess, Monday for Thursday evening. It wouldn't go though from that committee and probably have reasonable time to get to our committee. And then on to the public. And I don't know, I'm against these kind of last minute pop-ups in town meeting. Maybe they won't even have a number and they'll just ask to pull it, but,
passed over.
yeah.
They might, I don't know. And I guess before getting to that, okay, so this is basically the note that I got from Heather said, were you gonna discuss having a meeting next Thursday? I should have additional information on the collective bargaining articles and the TCP article. And basically I just said that we were gonna discuss it. And I don't know if people are available and want to do that or not. And then if we did, we could certainly hear whatever information there is and then make a determination whether we want to weigh in on that article or not. I don't have a life, so I am available on the 29th to meet if there is desire to do so. I'm also happy to, if people feel that we've discussed the warrant articles as much as you want to, but I think it probably would be good to hear if they have reached agreement on the collective bargaining, it would probably be good to hear that. But my guess is if TC Passios didn't have a number last night, I don't know that they'll have a number next week. And I don't think that there's a problem with pushing it off to the fall.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
I don't
Dave
like it.
knows when he comes, or if he
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm sorry, Jay, what did you say?
Yeah, if it gets pushed out to fall town meeting. Okay,
Well, yeah, because basically what they would be talking about voting on is just a continued study. So it's not going to be basically the funding of the building. So that wouldn't be something that would require actually, it doesn't matter because there's nothing on the ballot related to the Passios. So there's nothing that has to pass at this meeting.
Well, unless they want to continue momentum and fund the architects and the design firm to get a quote between now and, because they're out of money.
Well, they may be out of money, but in terms of anything having to be on the ballot, not the warrant, the ballot, I'm more concerned.
Oh, the ballot, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, the ballot.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And it's one thing, if the number's like $5,000, then yeah, I mean, I don't care, honestly. I mean, go do it. But if we're talking another $50,000, then I think that warrants real discussion.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm not clear on is whether it would, just because they already had a sense of what the cost of a project would be if they did that. They just don't have the specifics. So I don't know. But I mean, basically, let me just, I guess I'll just ask if you're available for me next week, Heather?
Yeah.
Jay?
yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Should I be calling you Ethan? I'm sorry.
And the unknown.
Not even supposed to call me, I guess.
He's not, but Evan is, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, Chris, I guess he's the invisible man over there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This whole conversation is now moot.
All right, so basically I'll try to see about getting us on the calendar for April 29th. And the only thing I'll have on there is if Heather does not have any information to bring, then we won't have a meeting.
Okay.
But if she does, then we'll have a meeting. Unless everybody wants to have a meeting anyway, just to say, hey, looking forward to seeing you Saturday morning. Anybody want to get together for coffee?
Coordinate our outfits.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so is there anything else that anybody wanted to talk about related to the procedures discussion? If not, then we'll move on to policies. Dave is not here. Why is Dave not
Yeah,
here?
what's, I don't know.
Okay, so I guess we're not gonna take a motion on the capital planning change. I would say that I don't have a problem with changing the number from whatever they want to change it to whatever they want to change it to.
It was from 10 to 20,000.
Was it 20 or 25?
It was
I
25.
think was it 20? Let me look.
Actually, don't worry about it. It
My
doesn't need to
preference would be to see something in writing. I'd like
Yeah.
to see the actual language.
Well, yeah,
of what
we
the
wanted
policy
a
were.
word language, right?
Yeah.
A
Yep.
policy language is what he was supposed to bring.
Yeah, he was just basically, and I think all they were talking about changing, as far as I know, was the
With the number.
If there's more to change in there, then you know. All right, so
I don't think it's a rush either. I mean, if it slipped
No,
out till our next meeting, that's not probably a big
that's not
problem.
a bad thing. Okay. Then is there
No,
any other?
it was 20. It was 20,000.
Okay,
Yeah, I have it written down.
thank you. Was there any other policies that anybody want to talk about? No? Because I know that Peter brought up the whole debt policy discussion, and really that wasn't debt policy, that was more around the building stuff and debt capacity, so.
Yeah, the thing related to debt and it kind of relates to our procedures and maybe something we should be focusing on during the non-budget intense month is I still think it's wise for this group to kind of be looking out 10 years at all the major activities that are happening and start making long-term recommendations as to, what the town can afford. I think with something like the town hall building or the municipal building, wherever it goes and whatever it looks like, it seems like this group should come forward and say, the design goal for this building is X million dollars, and the design goal for the Turkey Hill is, Y million dollars. And if we do so, then we kind of maintain the health of the budget, and it's kind of aligned with the feeling of the town on, where taxes should go. And additionally, then that gives, the groups that are designing a building to say, hey, our budget is, X million dollars. It's not put in all your wants and all your desires into the mix and see what the number becomes. This is what we have. What can we do for that amount of money? So that seems to be to me, that would be a good process for the town to follow on these very large kind of efforts.
That makes sense. Anybody else want to weigh in at all?
Oh,
I can't,
don't they? I mean, usually it's like when they build a school, after they design it, then they come up with a number, then they have to figure out how to finance it. We don't usually say to them, when we build a school, we only have, 10 million. What do we get for 10 million?
Right.
Well, no, so I guess like I draw the analogy of if I'm looking for a second home, I don't go off and say, what do I want? Well, I want waterfront and I want, docks and 6,000 square feet and, and you're like, okay, well, that was fun, but I can afford 5 rows back and, 1,000 square feet. So I think you got to bring that budget number into the discussion. You got to design to a budget. It's the same thing you do in any kind of architecture and design effort is you should have a budget in mind from the outset.
well, I think,
Personally, I don't think 18 to 21 million dollars for TC Passios is something that town can really afford. So what is the number, right? And what can be given, what can we design in a modular way so that, you go in with $10 million and you say maybe in, 15 years where the growth comes in, you can augment that with an addition to the building or something. But it should all be underpinned with like a reasonable 10-year forecast on an anticipated budget.
Well, even if it's just based on the anticipated debt acquisition, that whether you have a number or you just have the projects, I mean, again, the Turkey Hill is going to be something at some point in the lifespan of the borrowing, unless they're looking for shorter term borrowing, but I don't see how they can. But then I think it also depends on when everything else falls off. So yeah,
The town
But
can't, well, the town doesn't finance things the way the private sector does.
no, they
Private
don't.
sector can bring in, outside resources. The town doesn't have that option. And there are, sometimes there are restrictions on how they finance.
Right. Well, I think the other big issue for any municipality is the whole prevailing wage issue and how much that adds to the cost of a project. So, and
there's the reimbursement factor.
Yep. Which there is none for TC Passios that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But there would be for Turkey Hill.
yeah,
But I mean, I work in government acquisition. I mean, I work for a defense company, and the way the U.S. government does it shouldn't be any different than the way a town does it. Is they do lay out a 10-year plan, and there is there's what is it expected to be for this acquisition and these costs and this other thing, and and then it comes along, and now it's time where we can afford this.
Right.
I just feel like the town takes this 1 year at a time kind of view on things, where I think we should be looking out a little bit more long term, 5-10 years. After that it gets a little pretty squishy, but and take into account, like, what does the town want? What do the taxpayers want? Do they want their taxes to go down, or are they willing to keep them where they are, relatively speaking? Or are they willing, and probably not, to do things like 2.5 overrides and debt exclusions? And to what level are they? Are we willing to always be up at the debt exclusion limit? I don't know. I think a lot of people in town don't think that that's the right approach to things. So
Yeah, there is also something to be said for borrowing within the budget itself, because as the debt goes away within the budget, that creates more operational funds that are then assigned elsewhere that now are no longer available for borrowing. So now all borrowing will, eventually have to happen outside of the regular budget. So it's almost kind of like, okay, now would be a good time to fill the holes created by some of the borrowing that's expiring. So.
yeah, but all that's a healthy discussion too, though. Like, maybe the town says, I prefer to have more teachers and to fund the teacher schedule more so than I want a new building.
Right.
So it's all something you need to kind of weigh and think about strategically, and at least in my opinion. I don't know.
But how are you going to, come to that conclusion?
Well, so I think you could come up with a plan, and then you could have a public hearing on it. We could come up,
Yeah,
in conjunction with department heads and everyone else. It's no different than the process we probably use now. It's just taking the long-term view of the same process.
I thought Heather had a five-year forecast. I thought everybody had a 5-year forecast.
Financial forecast.
Yeah,
Budget.
There is a forecast, but the forecast doesn't include debt that's not already
okay.
acquired.
Operational.
Right, so it's
So-
basically, if we knew that, like we were gonna be taking out, we anticipated taking out a $10 million borrowing in 2023. That is not incorporated into the financial forecast.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
And even like all the 10-year capital projects are not all in there, even though they're asked for. I think
Right.
I've heard
Right.
of stuff that doesn't necessarily get in there. That would be another great input, is to really think long and hard about what are the 10-year capital projects that we need to do? What are the big building projects that we need to do? And where do we think staff goes
Oh,
over that period?
we have they did the Vertex report as far as, what we'd have to, spend to maintain the buildings that we have.
Well, that would just even be to maintain them, just to keep the, like the locks on the doors.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, that doesn't make them operational. I think the other,
And I
The
think
other-
that is in the capital plan.
oh yeah, it's in the,
5-year.
Yeah.
yeah, the Vertex information was included in the capital plan
Some of it.
discussion. Yeah, well, it was included in the discussions. So basically, they know what the numbers are and they know what they're gonna hit. What they don't know is what the town pleasure is as regards to the disposition of the buildings. So if we knew that we were gonna tear
Yeah.
down Brooks' house and just, like leave a green space there, then, okay, so we won't do the Vertex, we'll just do the tear down, so it's, but there is no, there's no consensus on the part of the town to say
Right.
what they want to do with the buildings, so.
The other one that came up during the DPW, at least my interpretation of the conversation, was infrastructure, bridges and culverts and, all that kind of infrastructure. Is that adequately planned out over the next 10, 20 years? Because we are seeing a lot of pop-up kind of issues, whether, be on Page Street that we see, or, Flat Hill. Maybe some of those were known, but we did get that list of all the ages of all the infrastructure, the bridges and culverts and stuff, and some of them are rather old. And those can be pretty extensive in cost.
Right, and I think part of, and I don't know how much this is involved in the pavement management plan, but I know that in certain areas where there was also going to have to be work on some of those things, that was taken into account when costing out that. But once that's all finished, yeah, that's a big issue. That infrastructure is a big issue, and separating out the roads from the buildings or facilities is, I think it's just something that the town has to do at some point, but that's just my own opinion. But I think that basically having one, and I've said all along that having one department that's responsible for grass, buildings, roads, parks, everything, cemeteries is just, to me, that's just too big. And DPW, yeah, I don't know how, I don't know whether or not the town's reached that point where it's grown to the point where that needs to change. I'm sorry, Jay, I think I heard you trying to pop in.
Yeah, I think under the pavement management plan has some, some funding was in there, I think, for some small drainage projects, not the large drainage projects, not the like the $450,000 they're talking about on Flat Hill Road. I think that you can incorporate into the pavement management plan.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the other is that there's, and this goes to not really having a good handle on, from an infrastructure point of view. I know that there are lists that are put together for road work that involves the state, and when they can get that on a grant. So, basically that's how they paid for Pleasant Street, and that's how they're doing some bridge somewhere, some road somewhere, I don't know. But basically it's really having a good picture of what's coming up with that down the road would be good too. I agree. I think that the capital planning committee has done a really good job of trying to go out much further than they used to, because it used to be that, you would vote to say okay to fire apparatus and not know that the next year you're gonna see like an even bigger piece of fire apparatus coming in, so. Yeah, I don't know how Karen manages to keep the town, above water, but she does, so that's nice. Anything else on anything around policies? Then we will move on to a discussion on the minutes. In order to catch up, we are going to try to see if we can't divvy up the evenings so that if people are willing to take a night or two. I don't know if you have the dates, Heather, and you want us to put them now?
If we all took one night, we would be caught up, even including today's.
Okay,
Okay.
I can't
Past
just use the
meetings.
Lunenburg Ledger article as the minute.
Yeah. Can we cut
Chris,
and
if you
paste?
want to submit it that way, you're welcome to.
May have to get their permission.
Oh, yeah.
You just change a few words.
That's right. They do a great job.
So,
All right, why don't you go ahead and start with the first date that we have to cover?
okay, February 16th. It's because it's like once a week after that.
All right, well,
Who wants?
which
I think I
presentation is
started that one, actually. I'll do the
Are these-
16th because I already started.
Okay,
Half done.
all right.
Okay. The 25th of February.
I'm sorry, the 25th?
Yeah, because we did it. It was like every
Weekly.
week, remember?
Yeah.
That's
No,
why
I know, but you just said the 16th, so the 25th would be 9 days.
No. That's what okay, that was the agendas that I found.
February was a short month.
Well, we must have done it Tuesday.
Oh, maybe it's the 18th. It's the 18th.
It's the
I probably
18th?
wrote it.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I
The
thought maybe we did
25th.
a Tuesday meeting. Okay, so the 25th,
Oh, that must have been when they were posted. Yeah, okay, so the 18th, the 25th, March 4th, must be the 11th, and the 18th. Then we skip a week and then we're back to regular, the
Okay.
8th.
so the 18th
Yeah.
is the public hearing, right?
March 18th, yes.
Okay.
Where's the
All right, so,
public hearing?
and then, what was the last one? Okay, after the 18th would have been
Last week when you weren't
8th.
there, the one you wanted to write.
Yeah, the 8th, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have a preference?
What's the shortest one?
Oh, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's a short one.
It could be tonight's, Chris.
Tonight's is
Oh.
gonna be the shortest. I can
Peter?
tell you.
Without Peter and Dave. It would probably be the easiest one to listen to again.
All right, so,
And also, okay, remember, a lot of them have attachments, like a presentation, so you could just skim over the presentation and then attach it into the minutes.
okay, I
That's
will
what I
also
can
say
do.
this. The minutes,
Yeah.
the minutes do not have to be perfection. The minutes just
Right.
have to be, we met, we discussed, it was great. And, if there's anything that has to be pulled out of it, if there's any important information, pull that out, but it doesn't have to be,
Motions have to be in there.
yeah, the motion.
The motions have to be in there, yeah. And then also I just would say attached is the presentation from the school. And then I would send that link with the minutes. Well, and I'll send them all in, but once we approve them, and if you just write it in there, I send the link and then they attach it when they post it online. So
All right.
that people know what the presentation looks like that we're referring to in the
All right.
minutes.
I will be happy to do February 25th. I have no idea what happened that night, but okay.
No, I don't remember either. I don't, okay.
I
right,
like
so I'll
the
do-
11th, so I'll do March 11th.
Okay, you're gonna do okay, hold on.
Okay, Ethan's
Ethan,
gonna
so
do-
Evan is gonna do the 11th.
Put EW, it's fine. We'll figure out who it is.
I know, right? Terry is the 25th. June
I'll
25th.
do
I've got the 18th already. Okay. Wait, what do you got, Jay?
I'll do
Who said
the
that?
4th. Is it the 4th you need one?
Yeah, March 4th.
Yeah.
I'll do March
The longest
25th.
ones, we could have Peter
Or
and
Zoom?
Dave do that.
Wait,
too.
what did you say?
Chris said he was gonna do March 25th because we didn't meet that night.
Oh, I was gonna say, there's no March 25th.
Yeah, there is.
Is there?
Is there?
Isn't there? I did it
There
from
I
is
didn't
one
see
on
it
Miami.
the 5th. We didn't meet.
in the agendas, but that doesn't mean,
Wait a
did
second.
we meet that day? I thought we had a little break.
All right, then I'll definitely do that
No.
one. We met, I was in Miami.
Is that when you were in
That's the day-
Miami?
Oh my gosh. Maybe
We
that's why
haven't-
there's no agenda in there, because you were gone.
Yeah.
That's what it, like three, okay, you're gonna do that one when you were in Miami?
Yeah, at least I can reminisce.
Okay, Chris. So what do I have? The public hearing, we have that one, right? And then
Ooh.
today, and the 4/8.
No,
Okay.
actually, the March 25th is the public hearing.
Okay, so it wasn't the 18th. Okay, that's what it is.
No, the 18th was not the public.
Then
hearing.
I'm telling you, the agendas are, okay. Maybe it was in there just as the date that it was in the file.
Okay, so Chris is doing 325.
Yep.
So we'll give
The
Peter,
18th was the schools, so why don't we give that to Peter?
we'll give that to Peter,
Wait, which
March
one was the schools?
the 18th.
March 18th.
March 18th. Okay,
And then Dave
Peter.
gets the 4th.
The 8th.
No, Jay has the
I had the
4th.
4th.
Oh, Jay.
So who's the 8th? Dave can have the 8th. April 8th,
Oh,
yeah.
April 8th?
Yeah, that was, yeah. And then I'll do today,
Okay,
okay? And then we should be all good,
okay.
okay?
If anyone's watching this and wants $20, I'll pay you the right minutes.
I'm serious, like, honestly, why doesn't anybody want to do this job?
Well, I haven't done it. I can tell you.
I know why nobody wants that job. Believe me.
Maybe my kids will do it.
Well, if your kids will do it, then I'll give them $20 for mine.
Yeah, me too.
I know, seriously, I'll give them $20 for mine too.
Yeah, all they gotta do is watch
Just
YouTube.
let me know now so that I don't start them. The one tonight. Just let me know in advance.
Heather, you got kids
Yeah,
too.
Heather.
Mine? Oh yeah, I'm not, the boys. Well, I guess Duncan would probably do a really good job. It would
What
be
is-
over the top, and everyone else's would look bad.
Okay. Won't hurt my feelings.
It won't hurt your feelings.
No.
Uh,
All right,
Whoever does the worst job does this into next year.
However,
No,
does
we
the
should have a
worst,
part-time intaker next year.
yeah, there should be
Yeah,
an
that's
intake
great.
next year. Yeah,
they should have someone doing it.
Karen is probably sitting, you know, like they're muted, just laughing herself off at us. Okay, so, committee or department reports.
Mm-mm.
Since Karen was nice enough to join us, I should ask if there's any finance director reports, since we don't have a town manager to make any reports.
There she is.
There are no finance director reports, but I will be presenting to the Board of Selectmen on Tuesday, the third quarter summary for our revenues and expenditures, and I can tell you that overall, I've been doing monthly comparisons from FY20 to FY21 as on the revenue side. Well, and the expenditure side looks fine, but on the revenue side, I've been doing that, and our revenues are up in FY21 as compared to FY20. So, I mean, I don't anticipate any problems with the closeout of this fiscal year, and hopefully we will see a free cash amount that is pretty equivalent to what we've seen in
Wow.
past years.
Nice.
So that's good, given the situation.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's excellent news.
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
That's
Okay,
all I have.
well, appreciate it. So then with that, if there's no other reports, I think that all that's left on the agenda, because I closed it accidentally, is that the next meetings, we will now meet next week. I did have on the agenda that the next meeting was going to be a town meeting. But we will meet next Thursday. We'll meet at town meeting, and then the next regular meeting would be May 13th after that. And if there is nothing, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jay.
Are we doing a meeting before town, meeting at
Yeah,
town,
next
or we're just getting,
Just
just
next
can't-
Thursday. No, just next Thursday. And just
no
get there for the,
pre-meeting at town meeting?
no pre-meeting at town meeting. Unless something bizarre comes up next weekend, there's some reason to do it, but I can't think of any reason to do it.
Okay.
And then with that, I'll be happy to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Any public comment?
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Is there any public comment from anybody on the committee? Any public comment from anybody in the public? Seeing none. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Chris motion, Jay second. All those in favor say aye. Heather,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Jay,
Aye.
Evan,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the week.
Night,
Good
everyone.
Very much.
everybody.
And Heather, I hope you enjoy Pickety Place.
Oh, thank you. But I'll see